Welcome back to the shop. This is part 3 of the YZ250 Up to Speed, where I get this 2022 YZ250 track ready for me, 100% up to speed. In this video, I'm going to start digging inside the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and do the shift detent spring mod. That's underneath the clutch cover there. And get the cylinder off. Have to start doing the top end. Maybe some porting. I mean, I'm definitely going to be doing some porting in the cylinder, but I might get that in this video or it might be in the next video. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get, but we're definitely getting inside that motor this video. However, before I get on that, I have some new plastic here I want to finish putting on. I know I might have to pull the plastic off when the graphics come. I might have to pull some of it off to get the graphics on, but I would like the bike to look nice and fresh at least until then, because it kind of helps give me the motivation and the desire to get out here and keep working on this thing. If it looks good, I'm gonna keep working on it. So let me get that stuff on real quick. Okay, there we go. All the plastic I ordered for is OEM stuff except for the radiator shrouds, because they want like $80-something a piece for the radiator shrouds because they have that impregnated graphics already put in them, whatever. So to save some money, I got a set of Sorbus radiator shrouds, because I'm just gonna put a graphic kit on top anyway. And I picked them up for like 50 bucks, so that's gonna save me about like $100 when it's all said and done. So yeah, new plastic here, fork guards, front fender. Let me see if that front fender is nice and straight. Let me look down at it. It could be off a little bit, but it could also just be the front end's tweaked, so I'll worry about that later. Okay, time to dig in the motor now. Let me go ahead and turn the bike around, because we'll be working on the clutch side. So I'm just going to flip the bike around, drain the motor oil, and I'll be right back. I will be doing the shift detent spring mod on these YZ250 two-strokes. This is going to work anywhere from 1999 to the newest YZ250 two-stroke. The reason you do this is because these bikes are known to do misshifts, get caught in between gears in like a false neutral. Mainly between like second and third gear, or third and fourth gear, you'll go to shift and it just gets caught right between the two gears, and it acts like a neutral, and sometimes it bangs back in the gear, so and it'll pop back in the gear, and that's how you break these transmissions, believe it or not. It might not break it the first time it happens, but every time it happens, it's chipping away a little piece off the dogs inside the transmission. At some point it'll just start jumping out of gear on you. So if your bike's catching false neutrals on you quite often, this is something you're definitely going to want to do. It's also a safety factor too. Imagine going towards a big chunk, trying to slip in a shift right before the face of the jump, and all of a sudden you catch a false neutral. It sucks. So that's what we're going to be doing here. It's a modification, like I've mentioned, that I've done to several bikes, but I haven't done to my 18. It's been doing great for years. I'm going to do it to this one right here. So alright, let me go ahead and drop the motor oil. Curious how this oil comes out, because I haven't dropped it since I bought this bike. Oh boy, someone had that drain plug on there tight. You know, you can strip these things out, right? Put them too tight. Let's see. Oh well, it appears someone had transmission fluid in there, and it looks pretty good and clean, so that's good. I mean, what you see back here, this is this is just an oil pan. It's dirty, but I'm looking at what's draining off of it here. It's nice and clean, so that's good. Okay, the next step will be, there you go, pull that little clip out the back of the rear brake there, because we have to get the whole clutch cover off. Pull this up off. But yeah, this is a really good modification. It even allows you to slip the shifts in a little bit quicker. If you don't already know, and I'll try to explain this a little better as the video goes on, Your foot doesn't complete the shift. Your foot just initiates the shift. Give you a little example if you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'll give you something to think about here. You ever notice when the bike is off, you can sometimes shift like up and it doesn't quite go into the next gear until you roll the bike a little bit, and then you'll hear it complete the shift. Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Your foot doesn't complete the shift. It just initiates it, and then the spring pressure of the shift detent spring will apply pressure until the dogs on that particular gear that you're trying to go into line up, and then it'll push them into that. It'll push them together into that gear. So by doing this modification, it can allow that process to happen a little bit brisker, a little bit faster, and allows you to slip shifts in a little bit quicker and more seamlessly, as well as avoid hitting them stupid false neutrals. Them things suck. So let me go ahead and get the Kickstarter off here. Other than that dent, I mean, this is a good looking pipe. This bike hasn't been ridden hard. Down in the description, I will have a link to how to pull dents out of a pipe. I use the air pressure method, air pressure and heat, and we can pop them out. I'm going to do this pipe, not now. I'm not in no hurry. I'm not going to be using it, but I would like to at least straighten it out, make it look good again. So I will be doing that to this pipe down the road. But meanwhile, let me go ahead and get that pipe off there. This mount's also broken too, but I have a new one of them. I've been working on these things for a lot of years, so I kind of know what hardware needs to be removed to get the outer clutch cover on and off. Which ones can stick around. Alright, here we go. Kind of what I do is I use my thumb and I push the kick-starting mechanism inward as I'm pulling the cover off. There we go, the cover's out of there. Okie dokie, gotta remove the whole clutch now. And as you hear me say in all my videos, you'll see me using impact a lot during teardown. I'm real cautious of where I use them during reassembly because you can strip stuff out in a hurry. But during teardown, it definitely speeds things up. I'm just going to grab all the plates all in one shot here. See, like that. These plates look beautiful, by the way. They're in great shape, so that's good to see. Then we have the clutch basket. Let me check it. No grooving at all. This is nice. In good shape. There's a washer back here. There's a bearing and a sleeve in here, but there's also a washer right there. But we're just gonna leave the washer there. We don't need it. It can stay right there. All right, there's a shift detent spring. This is old design. I gotta be honest with you. Most of your newer bikes and even bikes back then came with like a wound up type spring up in here that was much better design. This one right here sucks. Okay, so it's in neutral now. There's two ways to do this. You can remove all this and it makes it a lot easier, but I'm gonna first attempt to try to do it without removing all of this. But to do that, I want to get it into gear, because when it's in neutral, it'll sit a little bit higher. So you see how the spring sits more compressed now that it's in gear. So I'm gonna leave it there, and yep, she's in gear. Now I'll pop that 10mm off of there. Right here. Pull this cover off. And now I should just be able to slide this spring right off there. There it is. Okay, now I need to remove this whole detent rod here. So let me go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, so now that this is off, I'm going to show you basically how I'm going to do this mod. Right? You can, if you can find the spring that's stiffer and stronger, that'll work. But you know, I did this in a pinch one time and it worked so good. I've just been doing it like this since. So what I do is the spring normally hooks up to this lever right there. What I do is I just cut a nice little slit right down here where I'll be able to now attach the spring down here. It'll just sit in a little groove, and that little groove will be enough to keep it in there, but it'll also pull the spring further, extend the spring out, and provide more pressure for the detent system. Now this definitely works. It definitely applies more pressure, and you can feel it on the shifter, more positive shifts, and you can feel the transmission better when you make a shift. You have more of a which lets you know you got in the gear. It gives you that confidence that you made it to the next gear. So I'll show you what I do this with. I just use a die grinder here. Pull it back and show you a little better. I just use your standard die grinder, and or should I say, I don't know what the heck you call this thing. You know, Dremel, I guess you can call it, with these little cutting wheels. It has to be a very, very thin wheel, so make sure you get a nice thin wheel so you can cut a nice little slit there. I'm going to do it real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, got it cut up here. Show you what I did. You can see right here where I cut that groove. Now you want to cut the groove, let me get the spring here, big enough to swallow the spring up completely. You see how it completely, see how there's a groove big enough for the spring to completely sit up in it. Again, I've been running it like this for years on my 18. That's where it goes stock, like this, and it's going to be angled up like this. But now it's going to be down here, so it's going to extend the spring. And I've been running it like this for years, no issues. It's not going to pop out, don't worry, it stays put. So yeah, let's put it back together here. Okay, I went ahead and put some thread locker on here. Don't need that coming loose while I'm out riding. That would suck. Remember, there's a washer that goes underneath it as well. You gotta kind of pay attention and make sure it centers out as the bolt goes down on it. You'll know if you have it right because it'll still be able to move freely after it's bolted down nice and tight. There we go. Yep, moving freely. Now this is where removing the shifter, shaft, and the whole ratcheting system here for the shifting makes it a lot easier to allow this to close down even more, and you pretty much pop the spring right up on there. But that's a lot of work, and I've been able to get them on like this before, so I'm going to try it again. That's what I do. Try to get it here with you on the camera too. So I hook it up like this. Actually, let me hook it up this way. There we go. And I take a small, here you go, get you up in there better. Take a small flathead, put it like this. Gotta balance it perfectly. There it is. Booyah. And now you can clearly see the spring is pulled harder, tighter. So let's go and check the shifter out. Reach around here for the shifter. See, watch that. I just did a shift, right? I just let go of the shifter. You saw it move. So here's both my hands. I'm not touching the shifter, but it hasn't completed the shift. Watch this. This is what completes the shift. Watch when I turn this shaft. It's no different than if your bike was rolling forward. See that? That spring is what completes your shift. So, alright, we're in 5th gear now. See, now I just clicked down the 4th, but it didn't complete the shift. Watch when I spin this. See? Sometimes you get lucky like that, 3rd, you just hit it, goes right in because the dog's already lined up. If you're not lined up, it'll hang until it spins a little bit, and then that will complete the shift. Put it neutral now. There we go. The only negative, and I actually consider this a positive, but some people might consider it a negative, and this is why a lot of your bikes come with shift detent springs that are not that robust. Most of your pro racers, I promise you, they're running heavier shift detent springs. Pretty much they all are. But the reason they don't give us that in stock form is because this one negative right here. It does make it slightly harder to find neutral in the pit. When you come into the pit, it's time to find neutral. It's going to be easier for you to go from first right to second, and second right to first, and just skip right over neutral. Sometimes it's easy to just shut the bike off and get it. Now, I typically don't have a problem getting it, but some people do. And so that's why they don't put very robust shift detent springs in stock form on most of your bikes. Some bikes are good enough in stock form, some are not. The old RM 125s used to be pretty good, but because of that, magazines complained every year that it was tough to find neutral on that bike. It's just how it is. So I'm not worried about being hard to find neutral while I'm on the in the pit. I'm worried about accidentally catching a false neutral when I'm on the track, or even catching neutral in general. I never want to see neutral when I'm on the track. Okay, trying to put it back together. So we got that all straightened out, so we're good there. Back in. Now, as you can see, I still had the pressure plate on this side, so this side went in first. Now, for you guys out there that might not know this, let me pull this back a little bit further and show you. We start with the fiber here. Put that on. Doesn't matter which direction you put that one on. Then the steel. Now the steel, let me set this over here. Let me show you something. Watch this when I pull this steel off. It's supposed to go on this way, right? This is a rounder end right here. This is the way they come from factory. This is a rounder end. That's a sharper end. Your finger will catch it. If you slide over here, it's soft because they stamp them like this. The Yamaha manual, at least it used to, I don't know if it still does, but it tells you to put the rounded end towards the motor. And that's the way they come out when they're brand new. The reason I'm focusing on this right now, because these clutches never been out of this bike, is because I did have a guy in the comments say that I was bullshit about that, and well, nope. So now a fiber, so you do one fiber, one steel. Now check this out. I'll pull this steel off, right, and I'll show you. We're supposed to put it on that way, right? Look, round end, sharp end. It's the way they come factory, and it's the way they tell you to put them in. It's one fiber, one steel. By the way, if you're interested in the step-by-step on this shift detent mod, look down the description. There will be a link to the step-by-step video on this. This was just pretty much a blast through for this Up to Speed series. Set that in place. Okay, time to put the cover on. Now, as you saw, you have two gears right here, one for the power valve and one for the water pump. You can remove there's two ways to do this. You can remove the water pump cover right here and spin that. Get the teeth to line up and mesh so the cover will go completely on. Or you can just put the shifter kickstarter lever on and spin the motor a little bit. There it is. Boom. She's fully on there. Let me get all the hardware and set that back on. Okay, the shift detent spring modification job is done. I'm still waiting on an oil drain plug to arrive, a magnetic oil drain plug that I'm going to add to this, but I did go ahead and add motor oil in it right now because I'll run it a couple times just here in the shop without oil in it, give it one more dump so I can get all that transmission fluid stuff out of there and get right to what I normally run, which is Shell Rotella 1540. And I went ahead and bolted on the Pro Circuit just for a test fit before I start ripping into the top end. Just want to make sure it was going to fit good and everything, and it does. So let me go ahead and turn it around in the shop and we'll get started on that top end. Actually, quick change of plans. I think I'm going to go ahead and put new tires on real quick before I start on the top end and stuff. Got some tires right there to put on it. And while I'm at it, I will put the titanium chain adjuster bolt on and the chain on. Let me get that out of the way. I just want to try to make the bike look a little bit better, mainly for these videos. You know, it looks pretty sad with these bald tires. So let me knock that out real quick and then we'll get on onto the top end. Okay, had the fresh tires on her. Went ahead and put the chain on too. I also put the like I mentioned in the second video, the titanium chain adjuster bolts right here. These are real good because they don't rust and they won't get stuck in the swing arm, so that's why them are nice. I mean, yeah, it's lighter and that's all good, but it's nice that they won't get stuck in there. You can get them from Rocky Mountain, the Tusk brand. They're like 35 bucks. But yeah, and new chain. I'm gonna go ahead and keep using the stock sprocket for now, because as you can see, that stock sprocket is still in really good shape. So might as well just finish using it, and the front sprocket. The chain, obviously, they've loaded up with a whole bunch of grease right out of the bag, and that's probably gonna fling off pretty quick, but that's fine. Front tire, had the front tire on there. Brand new nut right here. Got rid of the one that was kind of boogered up. So yeah, she's coming along. That steering's still nice and stiff. We still have a lot of work to do to her. Obviously, I still have the springs to put in it, the suspension, servicing with the new springs, steering bearings, handlebars, quick twist throttle, grips, top end, porting, reeds, head mod, graphics. Got all kinds of stuff to do, but for right now it's one thing at a time. So let's go ahead and start digging into this top end. Go ahead and get brand new YZ250 piston in there and start polishing up that exhaust port. And yeah, let's see what we have in there. Let's start digging in. Hello, Leo. It's raining out here. The chickens aren't too happy about that. Beavis definitely is not happy. Okay, during the top end job, I'm just going to be kind of blasting through it and showing some highlights as we go along through it. If you need a step-by-step, I did a top end on this bike a while back and did a video on it, taking the whole power valve out, replacing the cylinder and everything. I covered it step by step. So if you're looking for a step-by-step, down in the description, I will have a link to them videos. For this one, it's just going to be a blast through for you guys and highlights as we go along. So let's get started. Okay, so I got the head off of it. She looks pretty clean in here. Been burning really nice and clean. Let's see. Oh, but I can see a little bit of detonation marks right there. The marks aren't coming off. Let me get a better light. Yeah, totally detonation marks. Let me get something to point at here. It's usually on the exhaust side where that's where this is at. You can see all these right here and right there, and you can't wipe that off. I can feel it with my finger actually. And now this bike, this is a low compression head, so with pump feel it shouldn't do that. But here's the thing, this guy hasn't put a lot of hours in this bike, has owned it since 2022, so I imagine a lot of times the bike would sit for quite a while, then he'd just take it out and ride it with the same gas that was in the tank. And you know, that's something you have to be careful of when you leave gas in a tank too long and you think, well, I got a full tank or half tank, let me go out and ride. If that gas is older than, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, get rid of it, put some fresh gas in, because the octane kind of drops through time. It lowers down and then you'll get some pinging. That's very mild, it's not a big deal, and I'm not worried about this anyway, because I have my own head that I'll be putting on it that I'm going to modify for the bike. So yeah, who cares about this thing? I mean, I'll keep it around because I'm going to modify this one later on, but I have a different head I'm going to start with. Oh, let's go see how the top of the piston looks. Again, very, very, very clean. Extremely clean. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if just because he was running a low oil ratio or what it is, but yeah. Alright, let's continue taking her apart. Okay, time to slide the cylinder up and off. Get up in here. Come on, girl. There we go. Alright. It's one super clean engine, I'll tell you that. Except for that little bit of rust right there. We'll clean all that up. But otherwise, I mean, the piston's clean. Everything is clean. Alright, let's get that out of there. We're gonna measure the come on. We're gonna measure the rod, the left and right, see where it's at. I expect it to be pretty good because as you can see, this thing doesn't have a lot of usage on it. But let me see. Just some gentle love taps here. Ah, come on. Thought I had you all the way off. Now you're all the way off. And she looks really clean in here. That rod has a bright color to it. Yeah, let me get this glove on. I'll get you up in here a little bit better. Let you get a peek. Look up in there. Look how pretty. These aren't dark from getting hot. Yeah, this bike has never been used hard at all. This guy rode it easy, easy, easy. He's got some residue oil. I can see it coming up right there, the migrating oil. So he was running a good amount of pre-mix, so that's good. You always want to have some migrating oil down in there. Actually, down in the description, I'll put a link to 2-cycle oils, how much you should run, what type you should use, that kind of thing, if you're interested in it, if you haven't already seen that. All right, let me go ahead and get my dial indicator set up so we can measure the rods, the left and right play. Okay, I got the dial indicator actually mounted on the stud right there for the cylinder. It actually works really good on these YZ250 to do it that way. Anyway, I actually stumbled into that about 2 top ends ago. I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty cool. I can just do that. Let me get this hose out of my way. All right, turn this thing on. Zero it out there, and boom, 110, 0, 110. Looks like it's about 110, 108. Let's see, try it again. $114. Well, you know, it's because all you got to do is wiggle it like this. You see it change. So it's not going to be exact doing it like this. All you can ask for is a pretty damn close, which is more than enough. 108, 105, 105, 108, 110. I'm going to call it like 105 to 110. I seem to get somewhere in that range the most. $107, $108. $114 on that one, $115. So let's say okay, I'm gonna say 105 to 115. So they're going to average that out to 110. Got 103 on that one. Now, the Yamaha service manual says a maximum of 2 millimeters. So what I'm reading here is 1.10 millimeters. Again, the Yamaha service manual calls for a maximum of 2 millimeters. I can tell you, brand new out the box, these cranks come at exactly 1 millimeter. That's where they come. I've tested them brand new right out the box. And then right at 2 millimeters, they're pretty much done. See 109 there? So this is what I'm going to just call a broken in crank. 105. Yeah, this is a broken in crank, I'm going to call it. But anyway, in my experience with this, I've seen it for myself that when these cranks go past 2 millimeters, that's when you start getting the up and down play. You know, everyone's always telling you check for up and down play, but you don't really know when you're going to get up and down play until you have up and down play, unless you check the left and right. When you check the left and right, these Yamahas are really good at letting you know when you're about to get up and down. At 2 millimeters, you're going to start getting up and down play right at 2 millimeters, right at it or just past it. I had a customer's bike, friend of mine and customer's bike. He was right at 2 millimeters. I said, let's go ahead and do the crank while we're in here. He decided to keep running it. He said, is there any up and down play? I said, nope, but it's going to be coming soon and it ain't going to go very far. He got one more weekend out of it. So consider that, one more weekend. He was at 2 millimeters, decided to push it one more time. One more weekend is all he got out of it. Yeah, so, you know, if you do a top end, you find yours at 1.7, 1.8, you might want to consider just doing it then, because if you run it and it does go past, if you might want to consider doing a crank then, because if you run it again and it goes past that 2 millimeter mark, it's probably going to send pieces all up in your top end as that lower rod bearing just goes to crap. Me personally, I actually like to get them out at about the 1.5 range for my own personal bikes. I run them on the track and I run them really hard. A lot of wide open throttle on these sandy tracks here in Florida, some fast tracks. So somewhere around the 1.5 range, I just kind of get it out of there. I might push it up to 1.6 and be okay, but at 1.5, 1.6, you actually start getting it feels like a significant amount of left and right. Like this doesn't feel bad at all at 1.1, but when you get to 1.5, 1.6, it starts feeling a little sloppy. Yeah, you won't have up and down yet, but the left and right's feeling a little sloppy, and it becomes a little bit worrisome. So I just go ahead and get to them right there. But again, Yamaha manual says you can run them up to 2 millimeters and then you replace it then. Alright, so let's take a look at the cylinder, piston, and all that. Wipe it up. This piston looks almost brand new. You remember how I pointed out, and I think it was part 1. Yeah, part 1. That the filter was never cleaned before, original filter, and the air box showed that soot was starting to get through. Well, it doesn't show like anything really damaging got through. I see a point with here. I see like a mild little scratch right here, maybe some. Seriously, I do worse than this on my own bikes, and I'm real good with my filters. So this piston is in really good shape. This thing was never ridden hard at all. It's crazy. All right, and how about the cylinder? Let's see. Get up in there and wipe it up a little bit. I can see what's going on. Okay. Well, it's just the cross hatching has some like wavy spots right here. I think this cylinder is just in the process of breaking in, honestly. Like, it hasn't been ridden hard at all. Real good cross hatching. You can see right here on the intake side where actually they cross hatched it lightly there. That's actually not worn because I could see some smaller ones going through. So that was just from the factory. It came out like that. YZs typically they like to wear around the exhaust port here, but that's looking really good. So it's a little bit more polished right around the exhaust port. That's typical when they get hot. You know, it expands and the piston ring will wear into that spot a little bit more, but otherwise she's looking really good. Let's see, I can see where they went in here and they cleaned up the boost port here. I got another cylinder. Let me compare it to that one real quick. Hold on. All right, this is my 2018's original cylinder. Okay, I thought I wasn't crazy here. On this one, they cleaned up the boost port all the way to the edge. Try and get you in the camera here. They cleaned it all the way to the edge, but for some reason, on my new one, they only cleaned it right there. They didn't go all the way to the edge. Huh. That's interesting. Let me compare some of the other ports here. Let me compare it to my 18. Oh, this way. Yeah, whoever was doing this work on the 18 cylinder was better at getting all the way to this guy. Whoever did this on this day, I think he kind of sucked, honestly. Okay. We'll see what we can do with that when we get in there with the tools. Okay. But I got to tell you, after taking a closer look at things, even though this guy looks like on this 22 cylinder, it looks like he was being lazy and quick in here. He actually did a better job at getting rid of the overhang of the nickel plate where it kind of overhangs into the port here. He did a better job than this other guy on my 18's original cylinder. This one, you can clearly see. I don't know if I can get you in there or not. Yeah, you can clearly see right here this lip, right? You see that lip right there, and you see how there's a lip right here. Because that's what they're doing when they stick that tool in there. Is they're just trying to get rid of that overhang lip. See the lip right here, and that one's actually pretty good right there. Let's go to the new cylinder here. Very small lip here, very small. I mean, you can see it more visually, but it's actually smaller. So I think this guy just had a more skilled hand is what it boils down to. Except for this one right here, there's a little bit more of a lip there, but the rest of it looks pretty good. So maybe that's all that was. I don't know. But like if you look over here, look down up in here, right here. Look at how much he worked on getting rid of that edge right there. Over here on this 18 cylinder, you can see there's a lot more lip right there. So this guy, this 18 cylinder, he might look like he did more tool work, but I think he didn't do as good a job of getting rid of them lips. See the lip in there, right there, right on the edge. And I'll go back to the new cylinder here. Look, there's like virtually none. He got rid of that sucker. So okay, I was starting to feel bad about this cylinder, like, oh son of a, but actually, nah, it's actually pretty good, so we'll be okay. Oh, and by the way, that's a B cylinder, which really doesn't matter. I'm using a YZ250 piston. You know, they have that special coating on it. One size fits A, B, C, or D, which is such a minute difference anyway. But yeah, all right, I think we're done for today. I just went ahead and put the seat and plastic back on, have a rag covering that, because I'm gonna push her back into the other shop over there where I'm storing her for the time being. But be sure to stay tuned for part 4. Part 4, I'm going to be getting some tools in the cylinder, polishing the exhaust port, maybe doing a little bit of cleaning up on the intake ports, but definitely going to be polishing the exhaust port. Get the cylinder back on the bike with the YZ250 race piston in there. Then I'll be modifying my head, get the squish band to, I think I'm going to set this one to about 45 thousandths with a compression ratio pretty much very similar to the 2003 to 2011 YZ or 2010 YZ250 5UP head. That's a really good head. We'll talk about heads a lot more in the next video too. I have the graphics ordered up for it. I just wanted to show you what they look like, but the link is broken right now. But they're all ordered up. You know, I was kind of debating on going with the totally different design since my 125 and my 250 both have the 1996 throwback look, except the 125 has the black backgrounds and the 250 has the white backgrounds. I thought about just doing something totally different, but then, you know, after kind of, you know, I decided to stick with the 1996 throwback, and here's why. This bike has been bought and paid for thanks to this channel. This channel was started with that bike right there. So out of respect for that bike, the 1996 throwback, I'm going to make this a throwback to the 2018. It'll probably be the last bike I run the 1996 throwback graphics on. Next bike I'll try to do something totally different, but I'm going to do it one more time out of respect for the bike that got it all started. So I'd like to show you what it looks like. It's going to look a little different on this bike. A few things are different, but it's going to be basically the same design. So I still have graphics to do. That's probably going to be on part 4. Got to do handlebars, quick twist throttle, put my jetting in, change the fluids in the forks, put some heavier fork springs in, change the fluid in the shock, nitrogen charge, put a heavier shock spring in, blah, blah, blah. Got a lot to do. But yeah, one video at a time, one day at a time. So yeah, this weekend, I'm not sure where I'm going to ride yet because the rain's pretty rough around here right now. I'm hoping to get to Punta Gorda Moto Bros on Sunday, but who knows? I'm just keeping track of the weather, play it day by day. Hope all you guys get a great weekend riding wherever you're at. Hopefully your weather's doing good. Maybe you can get a good weekend of riding. As I say, don't sit home and do nothing. Get out and go ride. Have a good time. It's good for you. And for me, I'll be taking the YZ250 2-stroke out this weekend, the 2018. And yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Catch you in the next video.